to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, wherever you may be from. Welcome. We've got an Australian friend here as well, so I'm not sure what time it is from where you are, but you're all welcome. I'm your host, the Casual Spaceman, and welcome to this live launch. Welcome to this live stream. Thank you very much for coming. I'm sorry if I sound a bit not too well. That's because I'm not well, which leads me on to just a little announcement. I promised a live stream with Jut the Drunk Monkey and the Conspiracy to talk about their new joint channel this evening, but I really don't feel too well enough to actually do that. It takes a lot of effort and concentration, so I'll be cancelling that tonight, I'm afraid. So I'm sorry about that. Let's just have a look at the chat. I trust you can hear me okay. Everyone can hear me all right? You let me know in the chat, I take it, after saying all that. Audio's a bit low. Okay, let's see if we can boost it up a little bit. Yeah, that's about as high as my audio can go. I'll talk a bit louder. I don't quite know why it's so soft. You hear me all right? Oh, that's good. Okay, as long as you can hear me. So who have we got? We've got Ozzy Glowhead. Hey, Ozzy, thanks for coming, buddy. Appreciate it. Christine Frost again. Carl Edwards. Who else have we got? Nody Rodent. Nody Rodent, very welcome. Thank you for coming. We've got Jim R. Thank you very much. Jim R says, looking forward to Crew Dragon making this trip. No, it's not Crew Dragon in this trip, I'm afraid. This is an ISS mission from the Japanese Space Exploration Agency. So yeah, no, not on this trip, but hopefully soon, Jim. Hopefully soon. So yeah, apologies for I won't be doing the live stream tonight. I was looking forward to doing that, so but unfortunately I'm just not well enough to do that just at the moment. So a little bit of information before I hand over to actually going to go with NASA tonight. Just a little bit of information about this. This is the second attempt of this particular mission. 2 weeks ago today, some of you might know, the launch was cancelled around about 3.5 hours before the launch due to a fire on the launch pad. Wasn't too serious, seemed to be extinguished pretty easily. And apparently the fire was attributed to a liquid oxygen leak, albeit a minor one, and also potentially there was some damage to some essential electrical facilities. So that's the reason why they cancelled that. All looking good at the moment. Rocket is fully fueled up. They're in the going to the terminal countdown stages now. So all looking green at the moment for launch. Now this is an H-IIB rocket. It's a liquid fueled rocket with 4 solid fuel boosters strapped on the side. And the rocket is launching the KOUNOTORI spacecraft, which is a spacecraft specifically designed to resupply the ISS. So that's exactly what they're doing on this mission. They're resupplying the ISS with some new ion batteries, some crew supplies, and various other scientific instruments and science experiments, as they always usually do. It's launching from a little island called Tanegashima, I think you pronounce it, Tanegashima. And then that's an island off the southern tip of Japan, and it's launching from the Tanegashima Space Center. There's a link in the description if you want to click on that. That should bring you to Google Maps, exactly where it is. And if you zoom out, it'll give you an idea as where in the world they're actually launching from. Launch time is 5 minutes and 5 seconds past the hour, wherever you might be. There's about between a 5 and 8 second delay for me, for you actually receiving this stream. So yeah, just bear that in mind. So what I'm going to do is, I don't usually do this, I'm going to keep my microphone on and the camera on, so you can see me, and then what I'll do is I'll make any comments or answer any questions as I go along. So if you've got any questions, then just fire away, or if you've got any comments, and I'll read them out. Or if there's any shout outs you want done or anything like that, then please fire away into the chat. So let me just get a couple of things set up here and a couple of little checks to see everything okay. Seems to be looking good.
Now just 8 minutes to launch.
If you can let me know.
Counting down to 11:05 a.m. Central, 1:05 a.m. September 25th Japan time for the launch.
Yeah, looking good to me. I'm just checking the sound myself. It looks right to me.
Again, it's about 15 minutes from the time of liftoff to the time that the H2 transfer vehicle is separated from the launch vehicle. Going through some of the flight sequence after liftoff, the solid rocket boosters and that first stage containing liquid fuel will burn for 1 minute 54 seconds until the solid rocket boosters themselves burn out. They'll be jettisoned in pairs. There's 4 strap-on boosters divided by solid rocket boosters A and B. They'll separate in pairs about 3 seconds apart from each other. First pair will jettison about 2 minutes 4 seconds, and then 2 minutes 7 seconds into the flight, that second pair will jettison as that first stage continues to carry the HTV up into orbit. That first stage will burn for a total of 5 minutes and 47 seconds, and when the vehicle is at fair enough altitude, about 3 minutes 40 seconds, the fairing itself will jettison and reveal the HTV vehicle underneath. Here's a nice countdown of the flight sequence. Again, 5 minutes 47 seconds is when that first stage will cut off. It'll enter a short coast period of about 7 seconds before that first stage separates from the vehicle. The second stage ignites just after 6 minutes into the flight and carries it for another 8 minutes and 19 seconds. Now, after the second stage cuts off, there will be another short coast period before that second stage physically separates from the HTV vehicle. And that separation occurring just about 15 minutes after liftoff. Once the HTV is in a good orbit, we'll confirm that the HTV's solar panels that are along the outside of the vehicle are receiving good power, and then HTV control over in Tsukuba, Japan, will take over the flight of the vehicle for the next few days until its rendezvous to the International Space Station this Saturday morning.
Nice bit of information about the stages there, which is useful, I think.
Now 11 a.m. Central Time, 1 a.m. out at the pad, 5 minutes until launch. A nice pan of the vehicle, that fairing up at the top, the white fairing. Underneath is the HTV-8 vehicle and the 4 tons of cargo inside. 3,000 pounds of which is lithium-ion batteries and associated adapter plates on the pallet that will be retrieved robotically from the outside, and the rest will be cargo on the inside retrieved by the crew. This includes many experiments as well as some hardware, tools, and food. Some of the tools inside include special spacewalking tools, that will be used for the alpha magnetic spectrometer repair. That'll be scheduled later in Expedition 61.
Just to let you know that my countdown clock might be slightly off. I never seem to be able to get it quite right, even though I set it to the time they launch. It never really seems to run on time, but don't really know why. So just bear in mind, it might not be exactly dead on.
As well as the treadmill. Again, in the pressurized compartment of the vehicle, about 5,000 pounds of cargo. Mission Control Houston, following along from the milestones provided by the HTV control and Takasaki range control over at the Tanegashima Space Center that are overseeing the launch. Everything still on track for a launch just 3 minutes from now. The International Space Station passing over the Atlantic Ocean, now crossing over into the continent of Africa, the southern border of the country of Liberia. It's on a northeastern track and will be located over Africa at the time of launch being over at the east at one of the southern islands of Japan. You can see there on this map.
Just a word about the ISS tracking. I'm currently trying to see if I can get an app to work with OBS for later streams about the ISS, so I can actually show you exactly where they are from flick from it from time to time. So hopefully for later things, I'll have that up and running for now. Tried doing it from websites, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to work too well with OBS for some reason.
Followed by the pressurization of the liquid oxygen and hydrogen systems of the second station, and they are now complete.
Flame deflector 冷却開始
Cooling initiates at the flame deflector.
1 minute until launch. Everything looking good so far.
打ち上げ
Yeah,
1
see
分
my
前で
clock's
す
wrong.
T-1 minute.
30 seconds to launch. Again, the solid rocket boosters and that core stage, the first stage containing liquid fuel, will carry the rocket through the first 1 minute 54 seconds of its launch. Everything's still on track, 10 seconds to launch. Getting a good view of the engine underneath, now igniting.
全システム準備完了
All systems are go.
メインエンジンスタート
We have main engine ignition.
There she goes.
Zero and liftoff of the HTV-8 and the H-IIB rocket carrying its way 4 tons of cargo to the International Space Station.
1号機は2019年9月25日午前1時5分5秒に
Lighting up the night sky over southern Japan. Everything looking good through the flight so far.
Number 8 with Konotori on board from the JAXA
Those 4 strap-on solid rocket boosters will carry the vehicle through the first 1 minute 54 seconds of the launch.
打ち上げ以降ロケットの管制は吉野発射管制塔から竹崎総合司令塔に引き継がれています
Following liftoff, the operation control of the launch vehicle has been switched from the blockhouse to the range control center.
ロケットは現在徐々に南東方向の太平洋上を飛行しています。
Now 1 minute into the flight. "20 more seconds before those solid rocket boosters burn out. Everything looking good so far. The vehicle itself heading towards the southeast to get in the right phasing to meet up with the International Space Station.
Booster SEP coming up. I'm not sure how much you'll see in the dark, but hopefully we'll see something.
You can see the solid rocket boosters beginning to burn out. We should see them separate in pairs coming up here in just a few seconds. There's the first pair of solid rocket boosters separating. And the second pair.
There we go. Yeah, you can make at least 2 of them out there.
That core stage will continue to burn until 5 minutes 47 seconds into the flight, burning liquid fuel, liquid hydrogen, and liquid oxygen. Good confirmation of booster separation. 2 minutes 47 seconds into the flight, 3 minutes left of this first stage.
Sadly, we're not going to see the effects that we sometimes get with the plumes when it goes into the sunlight, because it's more or less in the middle of the night in Japan there. So sadly, we're not going to see much of that. A1MD, welcome. You missed the launch though.
3 minutes 47 seconds into the flight, everything looking good so far. That first stage will continue to burn for another 2 minutes.
Yeah, all good, 1MD.
Four minutes 47 seconds into the flight, 1 minute left of this stage. Everything continued to be on track throughout the flight of the HTV today and the H-IIB rocket, performing nominally. Again, 5 minutes 47 seconds into the flight will be the cutoff of that first stage. It'll enter into a 7-second coast period before the first and second stage separates.
Yeah, pity it's dark really, because we're not seeing an awful lot, are we? That's a shame, but still good.
It's 27 seconds into the flight, 20 more seconds of the first stage burning. switching to animation right after the burnout of that first stage.
Oh, flat earthers will love this. It's animation.
And confirmation that that first stage did successfully cut off. Second stage burning now. First and second stages separated.
Oh, we've got World Model Feud in the chat. Dick, how are you? You're welcome. You missed the launch though.
It'll be just over 15 minutes until the HTV itself is inserted into a good orbit. Coming up on 7 minutes into the flight, everything looking good so far.
Or cartoons, as they would often say. So well, we forgive you, Dick. We'll forgive you.
8 minutes into the flight, HTV continuing on a nominal track heading towards the southeast to get into the right phasing to meet up with the International Space Station, which is just about to cross over into an orbital nighttime as it crosses over the Mediterranean Sea towards the western coast of Greece. Meanwhile, the HTV heading on a southeasterly course over the Pacific Ocean to get into a good orbit. Again, it's about 15 minutes from the time of liftoff to the time of orbital insertion, and the HTV separates from the launch vehicle.
Oh, Cliff, behave. Are you going to do the Beavis and Butthead laugh though?
Ten minutes into the flight, that second stage continuing to burn as expected, everything on track as the HTV makes its way through its ascent milestones. There are only a few milestones left. That second stage burns for well over 8 minutes total. We're now 10 minutes into the flight. We could expect a cutoff about 14 minutes 20 seconds into the flight. It'll enter into a short coast period. That coast lasting just about 51 seconds before there's physical separation between the HTV and the second stage of the H-IIB rocket.
Yeah, it doesn't take long, 1MD. They have to have a good speed to smash through that firmament. Oh, the CGI jokes are coming out again. You can't do that at space sets because they always do. They always have cameras. They always have them, don't they?
"11 minutes, 30 seconds into the flight. HTV-8 and the second stage of the vehicle performing nominally. Less than 3 minutes until the second stage cuts off and the vehicle enters a short coast period.
Incredibly good coverage. Oh, that's nice of you. Thank you.
Again, the phasing here gets it into an orbit to catch up with the ultimate destination of HTV-8, the International Space Station, where it will arrive on Saturday morning, capture scheduled for 6:15 a.m. Central Time. The International Space Station itself crossing over into an orbital nighttime now just north of the Black Sea over the southern border of Ukraine.
You need more practice on Kerbal than 1MD. You have to keep practicing.
"13 minutes, 20 seconds into the flight, everything looking good so far for that second stage. Expect a cutoff just under a minute from now. Again, after that cutoff, it'll enter into a short coast period before the physical separation between the HTV and the second stage. "14 minutes, 10 seconds into the flight. Should expect a cutoff here in just a few seconds.
Yeah, I'm sorry we couldn't witness a lot more. It was, as I said, with all the launch in the dark. It's not a massive amount to see, guys. So, but you know that's just the way things are. Beggars can't be choosers.
Second stage has cut off, now just waiting for confirmation of physical separation between the HTV and the second stage. And confirmation of separation.
Yeah, confirmation of separation. That's a very, very key moment in any launch. Lots of things can go wrong between that and the second stage separation. So they're in a suborbital flight at the moment. So what they'll do is next they'll then do some more burns and go into a full circular orbit. And then catch up with the ISS eventually.
HTV mission control over in Tsukuba, Japan will take over the flight from here, now that the HTV has separated from the launch vehicle. There's HTV control over in Tsukuba, Japan. Just recently we saw the Launch Control Center, that's the Takasaki Range Control Center over in Tanegashima. This HTV Control Center over in Tsukuba, Japan, just northeast of Tokyo. It'll be these teams here that'll see through the flight of HTV over the next few days to rendezvous at the station early Saturday morning. Now that HTV has physically separated, just waiting for confirmation that the vehicle itself is drawing power in a good configuration after separation. And HTV Mission Control will take over from there.
Shoot it sideways. What?
Again, you're looking at the HTV flight control room over in Tsukuba, Japan. These teams will oversee the flight of HTV on its route in low Earth orbit to catch up with the International Space Station.
Dick, I don't know what that song is, to be fair. Thinking about it, but I can't find it. I'm not gonna cheat and Google it.
Again, the HTV Mission Control Center over in Tsukuba, Japan. That's just northeast of the major city of Tokyo, the center island.
That guy in the bottom left-hand of the corner of the screen looks a bit concerned, doesn't he?
And receive confirmation that the HTV is in a good orbital insertion, is drawing power from those solar rays, and it's on its way to meet up with the International Space Station in just a few days. A short recap of today's activities: launching on time at 11:05 a.m. Central Time.
Well, okay. Well, that's pretty much all I can show you. There's not much else to show really. Successful launch. It's got into orbit to catch up with the ISS. So it's just suffice to say, thank you very much for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button below, hit the bell icon, and you'll be notified when I set up any more live streams in the future. I just want to again say that apologies, I won't be doing the promised live stream with Jot the Drunk Monkey and the Conspiracy. Really don't feel well at the moment to do that. I don't think I could do it justice. I'll make a hash of it because I'd find it difficult to concentrate. I mean, this sort of stream's quite easy to do, so apologies for that. But I'll hopefully reschedule it for another day, either Thursday or Friday. I'm not quite sure yet at the moment. I have to arrange that with the guys, see what they say. But yeah, thank you very, very much for coming. Much appreciated. Yeah, so look for my channel. On Saturday, I will be streaming the. Elon Musk is SpaceX is holding a press conference, if you like. It's a bit of an announcement about the Starship Mark 1 should also be built, and they're going to be doing that from Boca Chica Beach. So hopefully I'll stream that as well. And it's just an announcement about design changes and what's actually going to happen, because they're going to be launching that great big thing in October. So that'll be fun. So I'll definitely be streaming that as well. So, look out for my channel. So a lot's going to be happening between then and now. Okay. So again, thanks for coming. Sorry it hasn't been a lot of fun, and sorry there's not a huge amount to see on that night launch. In the middle of the night in Japan there, won't get to see a huge amount, sadly. But, can't avoid that. It's just the way things are with launches. Okay, so thank you for watching once again. I'm the Casual Spaceman, signing out.